How important is love in the glory? It is decisive not only in heaven, but also in terrestrial life. On earth, one begins to notice its valuable influence. Where there is true love, love of charity, joy always abounds. Although on earth it is sometimes mixed with inherent suffering during the time of trial which is this mortal life. I will explain a little more, she added. My mother and I very much enjoyed this calm penetration. However, there are a great many types and degrees. For example, when you and I compenetrate gloriously, our reciprocal joy will be immensely greater because we were designated by our God to consummate complete celestial compenetration. This is not related to matrimony as on earth. It is something much more elevated. It is the sublime fulfillment of the love of charity in the jubilant style of the hereafter. It seems as though the light in my mind once again turned on. I began to feel, not understand, the delicate but strong providence of God over each of us. I felt that without it the poor human would be absolutely lost. I began to see more clearly that my resistance in believing in the delicate and energetic influence of God on every mortal was due to an unfounded sense of self sufficiency, to a subtly hidden pride, to this supermachoism denounced by my beautiful teacher. Lastly, tenderly loved told me, if it is all right, we will visit Blanca, your second love. She lives near here on Galliena Street. Do you remember? We will rapidly move to the year 1927 and place ourselves in an opportune space time. I want you to observe the power of the blessed over the space times of the entire organism, guarded faithfully in the fifth dimension. It was fabulous to travel through created eternity. How I would have enjoyed feeling the tremendous acceleration and deceleration. My enchanting friend again stroked the back of my hand with her fingertips. I don't know how it happened, but I was standing next to her in front of Blanca's house. In that instant of new modified time, Blanca was leaving and she didn't completely close the door. She was immobile as a delicate infant statue. In 1927, Blanca was an enchanting blonde little girl with big brown eyes. She was charming, but not as much as my beautiful dead friend. At that time, I was very enthused about her, except she seemed somewhat immature. Remember, suggested tenderly loved, that you were friends when she was barely 12 years old, your same age. Observe her calmly, since we know she can't see you. Blanca had been my second or third love. In my memories, she was very beautiful and attractive, but I was seeing her as an amusing child who could have easily been my granddaughter. How much a human being changes, both internally and externally. My passionate childhood love had changed to the serene tenderness of a grandfather. Clearly, it is the physical presence of this small child that strongly evoked my innocent early remembrances of her, but I was no longer able to love her as in my childhood. What, now you don't like her? Expressed tenderly loved, with a shade of mischief in her smile. Being with you prevents me from being attracted to any other woman. I don't have any more capacity to love. Don't exaggerate. If you are rich in anything, it is in your capacity to love. It is infinite. What happens is that love among the travelers, although it is extensive and powerful in essence, is supremely weak in practice. You don't use the strength it possesses, however much to the contrary mortals believe. It is that terrestrial love is exercised only in the brief space time of the present instant. When you glimpse at the sixth dimension, you will be shocked before the vigorous intensity of heavenly joys. No human purpose, she added, is capable of satisfying the infinite thirst for love and happiness which encloses the human heart. The same is true in the fatherland with created love, not with the beatific vision, which is completely fulfilling. Therefore, the love of the blessed is multiple in their accidental glory. Clearly, their multiplicity does not prevail in Christian matrimony that, by divine command, is exclusively monogamous. But in the eternal glory, everyone satisfies everyone else in the love of charity. There is no doubt that man was created above all for the admirable society of heaven, and it is foolish to seek on earth what is only found in the hereafter. I feel very sure I am loving you with all my force. You are wrong, because of the inadequacy of the senses, which always operate in the present. The consciousness of the traveler doesn't perceive the beauty of the persons and things and supernatural state of the one who knows. Those in God's grace more easily perceive beauty than sinners. Physical and moral beauty, when united to goodness and with the value of eternity, is what most excites love among humans, both travelers and those who understand. Well, this little bit seems a lot. My eyes have never beheld beauty such as yours. Then consider how much joy you will have in heaven when you perceive with complete clarity in the least blessed the five values: truth, goodness, beauty, unity, and eternity. Neither is the traveler able to comprehend these five values hidden in the most inferior object. Why? Because contempt and indifference to our God has reduced mortal life to a brief period of trial to merit heaven. It is in heaven where the love of charity is truly fulfilled, which in the land of sin is more or less frustrated. Therefore, in your condition as a pilgrim, you could not endure the immense joy of fully comprehending the truth, the love of goodness, the enjoyment of beauty, and the enjoyment of all of this in the unity and eternity of an insignificant object. For now, the fullness of being remains hidden to you, to the most intimate aspect of its innermost recesses. Are you saying that I hardly know people and things, that I am looking at life through a periscope? To teach the innermost essence, you will need the gown of glorification. Now tell me, she asked with a mischievous smile, what does Blanca need for her to attract you as she did in your childhood? I liked her a lot back then. I remember my feelings toward her, but now I see her very much a child. Would you like to see her at 23? Tenderly loved did not await my response. She again revived me, and again, without knowing how, I was next to her in the courtyard of the University of San Luis Potosi. It was very early. It had rained and a wind was blowing that chilled my bones, but it was a familiar cold, different from the strange cold that bothered me in modified time. We placed ourselves in the normal passage of terrestrial time in the past, she tranquilly said, without giving any attention to the strong winter. We are in December of 1938. Come out of the puddle where you're standing and look at your watch. My watch was keeping time, and I heard it tick. Are you cold? I asked, seeing her thin summer jacket. Yes, but it doesn't bother me. To the contrary, it caresses me. I already mentioned that the body of a blessed is invulnerable. One could hear the murmur of the city that was beginning work. I heard the sound of the broom when the old street cleaner swept the water from the puddles to the less wet tiles of the patio. It wasn't difficult to recognize Blanca, who approached us. She was beautiful. With reason, I was enthused about her as a childhood friend because of the bilocation that had just occurred in my childhood body. I felt the revived feelings at that age, the initial feeling of love, its vehemence, its delicateness, my desires for tenderness, and the yearning to protect and defend my loved one, my desires of understanding and friendship. Blanca approached us as a magnificent female. She was the embodiment of youthful health, perfectly proportioned in her curvatures, and very self assured. Her elegant demeanor gave evidence of an incapacity for tenderness. Her snobbish posture, walking graciously but arrogantly, indicated a lack of sweetness. The naive and affectionate Blanca had changed to an attractive, exuberant, impetuous woman, emotional, dominant, radiant, and very sure of the power of her beauty. It called my attention in such a way that I was able to perceive everything in a simple glance. I had I never had any luck as a psychologist. Perhaps I was exaggerating my judgment. No, you don't exaggerate, tenderly loved assured me. What is happening is that I am transferring to you the image of Blanca's true personality on this past date. At this age, she was quite impulsive. Do you like her at age 23? She added with an ironic heavenly smile. Of course, but differently than in my childhood. I thought that human anatomy and physiology play tricks on us with the help of their two inseparable companions, time and space. If you were capable of changing Blanca so you could love her dearly, what changes would you make? Why do you delude me? I know that love changes the behavior of the lovers, but it doesn't change the physical constitution or the temperament of the one loved, disposition and figure to the grave. Don't be a pessimist and answer me. I don't need to think much. I would like for her to keep the simplicity of a child and link it to her maturation as a woman and her knowledge as a university student. Yes, I would like that. I don't know how. That her childhood candor and feminine maturity be harmonized, but without pretense. I would prefer that her legs be more shapely and her eyes more like yours. But don't pay any attention to me because I am asking for an impossible combination. Really, you aren't. This is how created eternity helps. One need only use the space time of the integral human preserved in the fifth dimension. This is something very natural and common in heaven. To achieve personality changes, it is necessary to only put some central nerves of the total organism in a defined rhythm of time. Meanwhile, other groups of neurons act in different frequencies of the fourth dimension. That is, they serve us in the space times and in temporal waves as if they were our tools. They don't dominate us as happens with mortals. In this way, she clarified, the glorified soul arranges as it pleases the temperament and disposition, aspects which are largely influenced by synergetic hormones. Glands secrete these hormones relative to the new state of the central nerves. It works something like this, as if the whole organism were plastic and altered at your pleasure.